Intro sequence. Fast-paced cuts of news, headlines, satellite images of the ship, frantic stock market tickers. Picture this. March 23rd, 2021. A single ship, longer than the Eiffel Tower is tall, gets stuck in one of the most critical waterways on the planet. For 6 days, the world held its breath as the Ever Given, a colossal container ship, single-handedly brought a significant portion of global trade to a screeching halt. This wasn't just a traffic jam. It was a multi-billion-dollar crisis that exposed the incredible fragility of our interconnected world. But how did it happen? And what really went on behind the scenes to free this behemoth? This is the inside story of the ship that broke global trade. To understand the magnitude of this event, you first need to understand the Suez Canal. It's not just a shortcut. It's the artery that pumps life into the global economy. Connecting the Mediterranean to the Red Sea, it allows ships to bypass the entire continent of Africa, saving weeks of travel time and millions in fuel. Around 12% of all global trade, everything from your morning coffee to the components in your smartphone, passes through this 120-mile stretch of water. So when a ship gets stuck here, it's not a minor inconvenience, it's a global emergency. Our protagonist, or perhaps antagonist, in this story is the Ever Given. This is a monster of a vessel, part of a class of ships known as ultra-large container vessels. We're talking 400 meters long, 59 meters wide, and capable of carrying over 20,000 20-foot containers. Imagine a floating skyscraper, laden with goods worth billions, navigating a channel that, in some places, is only a few hundred meters wide. There's very little room for error. So, what went wrong on that fateful Tuesday? The official story points to a sudden, powerful sandstorm with winds gusting up to 46 miles per hour as the Ever Given entered the southern end of the canal. This immense wall of wind slammed into its port side. Think about it. Thousands of containers stacked high create a massive sail area. The wind pushed with incredible force, causing the ship's bow to swing towards the eastern bank. The crew tried to correct it, but the ship's immense momentum, combined with something called the bank effect, where the hydrodynamics of a narrow channel can pull a large vessel towards the nearest bank, created a perfect storm. The bow lodged firmly in the sandy eastern bank, and the stern swung around, embedding itself in the western bank. The Ever Given was completely, utterly wedged. The immediate aftermath was chaos. Behind the Ever Given, a queue of ships began to form, a traffic jam stretching for miles. In front of it, the canal was eerily empty. The world's shipping industry went into overdrive. Do we wait? Or do we take the long, expensive route around Africa's Cape of Good Hope? Each day, the canal was blocked. It was estimated to be holding up nearly $10 billion in trade. The pressure was immense. The rescue operation that unfolded was a masterclass in engineering, improvisation, and sheer brute force. The initial attempts were almost comical. A single, tiny excavator was photographed digging away at the massive bow of the ship. A perfect David on Goliath image that became an instant internet meme. But behind that viral photo, a massive international effort was underway. The first step was to lighten the load, but offloading 20,000 containers in the middle of a canal with no port infrastructure is practically impossible. The next best option: remove anything else that adds weight. They began pumping out ballast, water, and fuel. Simultaneously, a fleet of tugboats, the workhorses of the maritime world, was assembled. These powerful boats, some local and some brought in from across the globe, began the painstaking process of pushing and pulling. Imagine trying to nudge a 220,000-ton building. The plan was to combine their pulling power with another force of nature, the tide. The rescuers were in a race against time, aiming to leverage the high spring tide, which would raise the water level in the canal by a crucial foot and a half, giving them the best possible chance to refloat the giants. Dredgers worked 24/7, sucking up sand and mud from around the bow and stern. They removed over 30,000 cubic meters of material that's enough to fill more than a dozen Olympic-sized swimming pools. Every grain of sand removed was a small victory, reducing the friction that held the ship captive. 4 days, the world watched live satellite feeds, cheering on the tiny tugs and the tension was palpable. Each failed attempt was a blow to the global economy. Then, on March 29th, after 6 long days, came the breakthrough. As the high tide swelled the canal, a coordinated push and pull by a dozen tugboats finally started to work. With a groan of twisting metal and churning water, the stern of the Ever Given began to swing free from the western bank. Hours later, with horns blaring in celebration across the canal, the bow was finally dislodged from the sand. The Ever Given was free! A collective sigh of relief was heard around the world. The traffic jam of over 400 ships could finally start moving. The Ever Given incident was a wake-up call. It starkly revealed how dependent we are on these fragile supply chains. In a world optimized for just-in-time delivery, a 6-day delay can cause ripples that last for months. The event sparked urgent conversations in boardrooms and governments worldwide. Are our ships getting too big? Is the infrastructure of our canals and ports keeping up? What are our backup plans? It forced the industry to look at creating more resilient systems, exploring alternative routes, and investing in better technology to prevent such a disaster from happening again. The story of the Ever Given is more than just a tale of a stuck ship. It's a fascinating look at the hidden mechanics of our modern world, a testament to human ingenuity in a crisis, and a stark reminder that in our complex, interconnected economy, a single point of failure can bring everything to a standstill. It proves that sometimes the biggest stories are not about what moves, but about what, for a few crucial days, stops moving altogether. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the events that shape our world. Drop a comment below. What did you think when you first saw the news about the Ever Given? We'd love to hear from you. See you in the next video.